China's president begins a tour of the Americas with a stop in Trinidad and Tobago. Shanghai celebrates Children's Day by letting some kids see the sights and others see their distant parents. And nearly 2 months after the bird flu scare, chilled chicken is back in some Shanghai stores. Good evening and welcome to this weekend edition of Shanghai Live. I'm your host, Zhang Jieying. China's President Xi Jinping has arrived in Port of Spain to begin his 3-day state visit to Trinidad and Tobago. His visit is aimed at expanding friendly cooperation between China and the Caribbean nation. President Anthony Carmona, the Prime Minister, and other leaders of Trinidad and Tobago greeted Xi at the airport. He's the first Chinese president to visit since the two countries established diplomatic ties in 1974. The two countries are expected to sign a series of cooperative documentation covering the economy, trade and education. Cooperation has expanded in recent years, with bilateral trade last year reaching $449 million. Xi will also hold meetings in Port of Spain with the leaders of several neighboring countries that have diplomatic ties with China before going on to Costa Rica and Mexico. About 100 migrant children and local mentally challenged kids celebrated International Children's Day today in a special way. They boarded a sightseeing boat on the Huangpu River for a chance to record what they saw through drawings. Wu Yingna has more.
16-year-old Gong Chen goes to school at the Children's Welfare Center in Hongkou District. Because he is mentally challenged, it's very rare for him to play with other children. This morning, a volunteer took him to see what the city looks like from the water.
I've never been here before. It's the first time for me to see the scenery along the Huangpu River. It's very exciting.
I won't celebrate Children's Day since I'm an adult now, but I knew about this activity through friends and I can spend Children's Day with those children. I think it's very meaningful.
Gong Chen's schoolmates and the migrant children spent the trip drawing what they saw along the way.
I can draw whatever I like. I can draw the Oriental Pro TV tower. It is the first time for me to be here. I feel happier than on previous Children's Days.
And one foreign tourist was amazed at what the children had drawn.
They are very nice and really mature painting for the children.
Organizers say they will collect the paintings and may display them later aboard the sightseeing boat. On the Pudong side of the river, another 400 children spent the day at the China Art Museum, recording their thoughts through paintings.
Our dream is to blossom like flowers. I hope the city can be better and rare animals can have a better living environment.
One of the 27 famous artists who accompanied the children says some of their paintings are very impressive.
I'm thinking about why these children draw better than we do, because they have a kind and a true heart.
Organizers say they will invite kids to draw their dreams every year. Wu Yingna, Shanghai Live.
Shanghai has attracted millions of migrant workers who come here looking for a better life. Many of them leave their children behind in their hometowns and rarely get a chance to see the smile on the kids' faces. But a charity event today in Shanghai offered an opportunity to let some parents here in the city to meet their children at home and to celebrate Children's Day. Zhang Qin has more.
Wan Daigenju saw her 10-year-old son online this morning. She almost cried. She said that she hadn't seen her son in central Hunan province for a long time, and she had a lot to tell him.
I want to say Happy Children's Day to my dear son. I should have spent some time with him today, but I can't. I haven't seen him for half a year. I want to go mountain climbing with him and take him to the zoo, because he likes it. I want to go back to him. It's so lonely working here in Shanghai without my son.
Dai is one of 50 parents working in the big city who have left their children behind, who got a chance to talk to the kids online.
Any change to my kids? They must have grown up a lot. I've been in Shanghai for 10 years. Every year I just go home for the Spring Festival and spend the rest of the year working in Shanghai.
And organizers brought 10 children to Shanghai for a personal reunion. Those lucky enough to do that today said they really cherish the moment.
This is my first time in Shanghai in many years. I haven't seen my mom for more than a year. I'm so happy.
I'm so happy. At the first, when we got the organizer's phone call, I couldn't believe it. But when I saw my daughter last night, I realized this was really happening. Thank you for bringing her to me.
The All China Women's Federation estimates there are at least 61 million left behind children across the country whose parents are migrant workers in other cities around China. Many of those big cities are working on ways of uniting those children and their parents by solving major concerns like education. Here in Shanghai, a new migrant worker system will go into effect next year. It will allow children of workers who meet certain criteria, such as time spent and taxes paid here, to join local students and take their high school and college entrance examinations in Shanghai. Zhang Qin, Shanghai Live.
Shanghai's Agricultural Commission says people can now buy chilled chicken at several stores around the city. That means fresh chicken is available again, nearly 2 months after the city stopped sales of live poultry because of the bird flu. Dai Qian has more.
At 9 this morning, this shop in downtown Xuhui district was already doing a brisk business in chilled chickens. The chicken products are mostly vacuum-packed, and each has a quarantine inspection label. The store sold more than 30 chickens in 2 hours.
I trust chickens here as they've passed inspections.
Chilled chickens must be processed at between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius to kill all bacteria and viruses. And the trucks taking them to stores must be kept at the same temperature. Frozen chickens are kept below 0 degrees. City agricultural officials say 4 companies citywide are now selling chilled chickens. Other shops only have frozen ones. One meat company manager says that customers are welcoming chilled chickens after nearly 2 months of not being able to buy live poultry because of the bird flu.
Our sales of the chickens are quite good. We've already sold more than half the chickens in stock.
And he says the company may expand sales of chilled chicken to other shops and provide more types if there's enough demand. Dai Qian, Shanghai Live.
Now let's take a look at some other local and domestic news, including a traffic accident that injured 2 people last night in Pudong. Police say the car knocked 2 people off an electric scooter before smashing into 4 cars that were waiting for the traffic light to change. The crash buckled the front of the car. Witnesses say the car was driving at high speed and didn't slow down when it hit the scooter. The driver reportedly said she was about to turn into a residential area when she panicked as the scooter came up behind her. The 2 people on the bike were reported in stable condition. Police in the northwestern city of Xi'an say they've arrested 2 people for using formaldehyde to make noodles as a way of prolonging their shelf life. They say the suspects claim they didn't know the substance was poisonous, have been using it for a year, and were selling more than 420 kilos of noodles to local restaurants every day. Formaldehyde is normally used in making plastics and to preserve dead bodies. Firefighters in Heilongjiang province have extinguished a grain warehouse fire that burned for 15 hours and destroyed more than 40,000 tons of grain worth more than 80 million yuan. Police are still investigating the cause of the fire that broke out yesterday. Workers are now cleaning the site and transferring the remaining grain to other warehouses. And the central China city of Wuhan now has its own smaller version of the giant rubber duck that's been floating in Hong Kong harbor. The organizer says the Dutch conceptual artist who made the original duck licensed Wuhan to make a 6-meter copy, slightly smaller than the original. he has led to a lot of jokes online because Wuhan is famous for duck neck snacks. So people are asking the organizer to make a duck with a longer neck and are doing a little photo manipulation online. An update now on the fatal shooting of a Taiwanese fisherman last month. Investigators now say fisherman Hong Shicheng was shot dead by an M14 rifle and say they know which Filipino Coast Guard member fired the fatal shot. They say the ballistics examination has also identified another gun used when the Philippines Coast Guard fired on the Taiwanese fishing vessel. The investigators from Taiwan say they copied the video recording of the shooting incident and found nothing about the fishing vessel, Guangdaxing, ramming the Philippines vessel. The three-day Tokyo International Conference on African Development is now underway in Yokohama. Japan's Prime Minister is pledging $32 billion in public and private support for Africa's development over the next 5 years. The package that Prime Minister Shinzo Abe unveiled at the meeting includes $14 billion in official development aid and $6.5 billion in support for infrastructure. It's designed to help growth on the African continent and encourage Japanese investment. Japan has long had an interest in Africa's vast natural resources, especially oil and gas, especially after the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011 that shut down almost all of the country's nuclear reactors. And that's all for today's edition of Shanghai Live. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.